For this a little bit. Folks, we're back live. This is Kevin Bachelder, and we are going to talk. Yes, we're definitely going to talk Comic-Con and Wynona Earp. One thing I'm going to do real quick, Kevin, while people are coming in, is I'm going to adjust the live stream on this page to make sure the stream is great. The one thing with using YouTube Live Mobile, as I do now, is that it doesn't allow pre-setup. So you have to quite literally adjust the watch page and put out the tweet as you are doing it. But the good news is, as I go to the watch page, or it takes me to the watch page, there we are. The stream is good. And then I go to the watch page, and we are, and I'm saying, hello all. Hello all. And I know there are a number of people who are going to be coming in because they want to see you. In fact, there's Barry Lee. Hey, Barry. How are you? This is my friend Kevin Bachelder from Comic-Con of, well, I was going to say years past, but I'll just say a year past. A year past. Hey, Jacob P., how are you? And so I'm going to tweet this out real quick, and we'll get started. So, thumbs up, everybody, for Mr. Bachelder, and I'm going to tweet this out. It's automatically set to automatically hashtag SDCC, so I don't have to worry about that. Boom. We are out there. Yeah, I'm getting good at this, man. All right. And so we are ready. So, hey, wait a minute. Barry Lee thinks he knows you. Hey, Barry Lee says, hey, don't I know you? This is great. Hey, Kevin, tell him about your show, even though the title is basically Wynona Earp San Diego Comic-Con Talk with Kevin Bachelder, you have a media name that you use, right? I didn't know which I should have asked which one to use, but I figured, us,
Not a problem, Zenny. Yeah, we do. I host the Tales of the Black Badge podcast, which covers the Sci-Fi Channel show Wynona Earp, which is on Friday nights. And we also, along with a podcast, we also do a live video hangout for the fans after the show airs on Friday nights called Whiskey and Donuts.
Whoa, I like that. It's a great combination.
A couple of the items that the lead character tends to enjoy on the show. So, very appropriate. We get several hundred fans together after the airing to talk about the episode. Sometimes we get cast members to join us. It's a lot of fun.
Now tell my viewers about Wynona Earp on Sci-Fi, because you're a noted Wynona Earp expert. So tell my viewers about Wynona Earp. Well, you are. Hey, I mean, they're, wear the badge, man. So
that's very true. I guess it's very true.
Besides, us bald guys always have to acknowledge the expertise of other bald guys. That's very important. So,
very important. It's a fraternity, yes.
That's
I
right.
got that. Yes, Wynona Earp is a show currently airing in its second season on the Sci-Fi Channel. It follows the lead character, obviously Wynona Earp, who is a descendant of Wyatt Earp. And it turns out that Wyatt in his day actually put down many demons who have now been resurrected as revenants in the town of Purgatory where they live. And it's her job to hunt these down and, along with some of her friends, take these creatures or demons and send them back to hell.
Wow. Is she a mortal person, or?
Nope, she's just a very reluctant hero, basically. She does it by a special gun called Peacemaker, which is able to send these revenants back to hell. Wow. It's a gun that's been passed down over the years to each, basically the oldest born of each generation is considered the heir, and it's their job to send these revenants back because they resurrect with every different version of the heirs that are born.
Hey, can you talk?
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's a show obviously set in a very fantasy world, but with very real characters. The lead character, as we said, drinks too much whiskey. Is not the most straight line hero. Very reluctant. There's a lot of snark and humor in the show, and also. So it's one of those tastes that it's not for everyone, but for those of us who are fans, it's a real love for us.
It sounds like in discussing Wynona Earp, we can almost discuss to a degree Jessica Jones, who has, it sounds like some of the same qualities, you know? Is there...
It's very funny. It's very similar because they both have they were shot within a couple of months of each other, as it turns out, and without either production knowing the other was doing it. The characters physically both have leather jackets, very similar personalities. It's a little spooky, actually, now after the fact.
Wow. But does it speak to where we are today, that women as anti-heroes, if you will, are popular? And does that explain Wynona Earp's popularity? Because this thing's a hit. And I turned around and I thought, my God, I know I'm out to lunch, but I didn't think I was this out to lunch. So, you know.
Well, it's funny. It all depends. What's happened with the show is that while I wouldn't say it's a ratings hit, it is very much got a passionate fan base.
Cult.
Very active on Twitter. Actually, one of the things that got the show renewed for a second season was the very interactive fan base, which Sci-Fi Channel is very interested in now with their new branded It's a Fan thing that they do. Because on Friday nights when the show airs, almost the entire cast and the showrunner are live tweeting. So the fans make it very much a Twitter party. We actually have so many folks involved that we end up in the top 10 Twitter trending topics on Friday nights.
Nice. Hey, so go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, so it's very much a community situation where folks who are fans are very much friends that's developed in the show.
So it's almost like Sci-Fi has tapped into a combination of crowd fandom and influencer marketing, right? Because arguably you're an influencer for Wynona Earp and helping market that. And I want to talk to you about something that really struck me as an 8-time Comic-Con press goer, and that's how well, because there's two things I want to ask you. First, I want to talk this, and then I want to talk about what you expect to see on the panel. But I really want to, if they watch this, give a shout out through you to how well they treated you last year, because they really appreciate their fans, it seems.
Oh, absolutely. IDW Entertainment, which produced the show, many of you know them, IDW Publishing, many, many years, many titles. Not the world's biggest production company, but they do a great job of supporting the fandom and are very interactive themselves. And, once they saw the podcast that we started to do and the video hangouts, how much the fans were very much of one voice and working together, they really appreciated how much we were helping naturally to promote the show. I mean, myself and Bonnie, my co-host, are passionate fans. We just enjoyed talking about the show, but the fans really connected with us, and it worked well, and IDW appreciated that, and they were very gracious to be able to allow us to go to Comic-Con last year by the point that all the passes were long gone, to be able to do that for us, and also give us backstage access to the cast for interviews and other things that we could bring back to the fans, periscopes and live podcasts. So they've been immensely helpful in helping us, and we naturally very much appreciate what they're doing, because the cast has also been the same way. They've been very giving of their time and allowing us to do very lengthy interviews, very honest interviews, and it's been quite the community, both for fans and for folks involved with the show.
And I think you all set the model with the cast and Wynona Earp for how relationships between showrunners and creators of the show and fans should be. Because and I'm not going to spend time here doing that because I don't think it's right, but I'll just say a lot of times that's not the case at all. Hey, Kevin, before I ask this question, folks, ML, Barry Lee, Citron, you guys have a question for Kevin, just type it and I'll ask it. But Kevin, what do you expect to see on this second panel, or second year panel, I should say, for Wynona Earp? Yeah.
Well, it's actually being in year 2. The fan base has grown significantly. Our following, certainly on social media and with the podcast and all, the numbers are up. And hopefully what we're going to see is a lot more fans at the cast panel. They're doing a cast panel on Saturday during Con this year, and they've got a couple of signings. IDW actually this year too is doing a Wynona Earp cast party the day before. Well, actually not the day before, because technically it's Thursday night. Con will have started by then, but it's not a Con event. It doesn't require a ticket, so average fans can come and meet the cast and do some other things. So they're very much supporting it as well. So we're looking forward to having even more of the cast members there this year for the panel. It should be a great chance for the Earpers, as they're called, fans of the show, to see the cast and to get some questions answered, and looking forward to them kind of teasing. We're about halfway through season 2 airing on Sci-Fi Now, so we expect them to tease what's coming out the rest of the season.
Well, so you're an Earper then? That's cool. I like that.
That's what it's called. They were Earpers.
Trekkers. There's Trekkers and Earpers. I like that.
There's Earpers. Yep.
Hey, so tell my viewers, do you have a favorite episode so far, or a favorite situation for Wynona Earp that that comes to mind?
Well, it's there's such a great diverse cast, male, female, folks of color, everything else in this show. It's such a great combination of people. There's so much to pick from. I know for me, and for a lot of folks, the sisterly dynamic between Wynona and her sister Waverly really is the cornerstone of what we all love. It's such a true relationship. And in the season 1 finale, there was a scene where, as naturally all hell's breaking loose and demons are taking over the town and they have to save the day, the two of them have to break up and go in different directions. So naturally they're concerned for each other. And there's a moment where they take to stop and really just look at each other without having to say anything. And just Wynona kisses her on the forehead, and it just encapsulates that love we all have, and realizing that they realize they're in danger, but they truly love each other and just have to let it happen without words being needed. And that's a favorite moment for me.
Hey, Citron has a question. He says, Juan, Carlos, and the Order. What do you think about these characters?
Yeah, the Order is a set of folks that were introduced in the most recent episode who appear that they might have similar goals that Wynona does, but they go about it very differently. So we're going to have to learn a lot more about them. We're only got one episode. I'm not really sure there, to be honest with you. Juan Carlo is a very interesting character that's come in and out of a few of the episodes. He appears to be someone who isn't demon. He isn't human. We're not sure what he does. He seems to steer some of the story bits, so we're still waiting to find out if he's angel or is he something that, he gets some of our main characters back where they need to be. So how is he steering things, and who is he? We don't know yet. So one of those mysteries we're very much looking forward to learning more about.
And Barry Lee asks a question. He says, why do you think it's so cheap to film sci-fi shows in Canada compared to the United States?
Well, I'm not going to be a business expert when it comes to tax breaks, but I do know in the case of Wynona Earp, they shoot in Calgary. Mm-hmm. So it's, I won't say the middle of nowhere, but it's certainly not high metropolis where they are, which helps to keep some of their costs down. And also very much, IDW was so generous and actually invited us to visit the set a few months ago, which was wonderful, and getting a chance to see them in action.
Whoa, what was that like? I got to ask.
I can't put into words how that was. I mean, they were so wonderful to us. They flew myself and my co-host and another friend of ours, Bridget, who writes a lot of articles about them from the TV Junkies up. And
was she at Comic-Con last year?
We got to be there for a couple days, watch them shoot.
Did I meet Bridget last year at Comic-Con?
No, you met Bonnie, my co-host.
Right,
you interviewed us in the lobby of the hotel that first day.
Right. That's right. I have a playlist that this is going into, folks, by the way. Hey, I'm also curious to know, I have to go back to that whole moment regarding being on the set. Was it like a dream? What was it? I mean, how did that all come about? Was it out of the blue? Was it,
Last summer, when the show was getting near the end of its first season, the showrunner, Emily Andrus, who was very interactive with fans, came on our Whiskey and Donuts hangouts a couple of times. And at one point, she was so appreciative of what we had done for the show, she said, geez, if we get a season 2, we'll have to have you folks come to set. Wow. So we, locked that one away and said, oh, you know it. So she and IDW stuck to it. And once season 2 was filming, they reached out and said, yeah, let's set it up and get you guys up here to see what actually goes on. So, yeah, we were there for 2 days, got to see them shooting several different scenes, made a lot of great notes, and then did a podcast about it, all talking about it to share with the fans. And the fans went crazy because they got inside stories on some of the cast members and things. And we couldn't share all the details because we saw an episode film that hasn't aired yet. But once that airs, we'll have some special guests, including Bridget, Bonnie, and I, and maybe some cast members on to talk about that. It was a wonderful... As a fan of a TV show or movies, as you can all imagine, being there to the point of being able to reach out and get your hand on screen, pretty amazing.
Hey, by the way, Barry Lee, I know you're on Twitter. Could you tweet out this with hashtag, actually, it automatically is hashtag SDCC, but if you tweet out hashtag Comic-Con, that would be great. Thanks, Barry. Hey, Kevin, also, how did Wynona Earp be on the TV show start? Was it a graphic novel that be first, or how did that come about?
You're right, son. Yes, it was a graphic novel written back in the 90s by Bo Smith, a well-known comic writer.
Right.
And that graphic novel actually was centered on Wynona when she was probably in her 30s, a little older and very seasoned and so forth. The TV show actually is the very beginning of the story when she's much younger and certainly rougher around the edges. So yeah, they had that graphic novel. IDW approached Emily Andrus, who had been a showrunner on Lost Girl, and she put together a wonderful cast, and they brought it to Sci-Fi. So it's kind of took some time to get there, but it premiered last April, and it just finished up season 1 when you and I met at Comic-Con last year.
Hey, can you give us a preview because some of the questions you're going to ask the round table? Because I guess the way they do it is maybe the way that I'm used to. They have round tables and the actors go to the different tables, right?
Press room, yes.
Yeah. Give us a preview for kind of questions you're going to ask. What are you looking forward to knowing?
Well, it's funny for myself personally, because we have such amazing access to the cast and they do hour-long interviews with us. Very honest, we've been able to ask so many great questions. For me, going to the press room like I did last year and hopefully this year is a chance to see the excitement of the other press people who finally get to meet these folks and ask questions. So oftentimes it's the stuff about what inspired them in the role, how they're able to bring part of themselves to the role, because I know Emily creates a very collaborative environment from what I've heard and seen on set. So they're able to really make themselves a part of the characters and bring some things to it. And seeing that creativity when they get a chance to answer that question always is something that's very interesting for me.
Wow, that's something else. So you're becoming an ambassador to the press.
Well, I don't know if I go quite that far, Jenny, but it's, I know we have great access to the cast, so I try to stay a little more in the background of the press room because there's a lot more people who are so excited, and you know it when you've been there. You want to get a chance to ask a question, and I know we'll have great access ourselves, so I kind of let other people do it and then get to live vicariously through them a little bit to see the excitement.
What's the spread of fans? I mean, because I know you have you, Bonnie. I mean, you're in Boston, but are there... Can you give us an idea, like, in terms of location and nations and that sort of thing?
Sure. The show's currently airing in the U.S. and Canada and the U.K. I think it's just coming to Germany and the Netherlands in the coming weeks. But as you know, nowadays, with access to TV shows, this fans all over the world.
Right.
We have many giveaways that we run for the podcast. The cast is nice enough to sign photos and posters and things. And we open them up worldwide. And the last contest we did a couple of weeks ago, I had entries from Japan and South Africa, Germany, France, England, all around the world. And there's so many fans who are always asking us how they can help support the show, because they can't, outside of the U.S., you can't impact ratings. And They know that's a big thing, actually. So it's the social media activity where so many people get on board and help to create the community that's the biggest impact a lot of them can have. So it's amazing. It's all ages. It's younger folks. It's older folks, male, female, all around the world.
Now, Citron asks, he says, do you think the show will bring the elder sister back in some way?
I wouldn't bet against that. And again, I have the ability to get press screeners from Sci-Fi, so I've seen a little ahead, so I have to be a little careful in what I do say. But knowing the creativity of this writing team, I would not rule it out.
Don't you hate being in that situation where you get, because I get these screeners for different movies. I get horror movie screeners, and I got a screener for Shin Godzilla, but it's always, well, you can't talk about this, and I'm like, this is the best political Godzilla movie I've ever seen. What do you mean I can't talk about this? Come on. I mean, doesn't that piss you off? Just kind of like...
No, I mean, we understand it. It's, our job is to help create a little buzz for it. But you're right, we have to be very careful in what we say. And I do know, having been told by folks at Sci-Fi, they do look at all of our tweets. So we have to be very careful on what we do say. So
wow. Sometimes
when I'm talking show stuff, I do have to kind of be cautious in my answer because I am sometimes an episode or two ahead.
Are you, let me ask you a question, because I'm a fan of Supergirl, but I have an issue that maybe you can work through with me, okay?
Okay.
They had the first season. It was Jimmy Olsen, played by McCad Brooks, and they had this relationship, but it would look like it was going to go to something romantic. And they kind of cut it off. And I just have to be honest, because you don't see a lot of black male, white female romances, on television, let alone anywhere. But the reality is different. And what I liked about the way they did it is it had nothing to do with race, but it came out in a way like he was talking about being a black male and the frustrations of that, and she was talking about being strong and then, a female and everything. And it was really real. And then they got away from that, and I became critical on Twitter, and I even made a video about it. And I thought, oh, they're gonna hate me. I mean, but I love the show. They lost me as a fan, and it got me back later because I like the fact that they're working. So where am I wrong? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to work that out because I want to see these folks. I want to be fans. I think I worked it through, and I follow them on Instagram and everything, but I don't want to be that guy. And yet I feel like I am that guy, but I feel like it's for a legitimate reason. Am I right or am I wrong?
And the key thing, I think, and one of the other things along with the Wynona Earp podcast I do, I've done a genre TV podcast covering sci-fi and fantasy shows with a couple of friends for about 10 years now. So we watch a lot of the genre shows. And I've, seen a lot of the ships and a lot of the other things that folks like to talk about. And I don't think it's right or wrong, Zenny. I don't think you are, especially when it comes to folks who have a passion in the relationships they like to see. I'm a fan of Supergirl, but not a big one, because I thought they were, and not just the Jimmy and Kara stuff, they were very up and down on her romantic interest in that first season. They didn't really find their footing very well.
No.
So I'm not sure if it was him and her or just the fact they couldn't find a good way to get her a relationship.
It was like, it was like, if I may, to me, the one issue I have being a Wonder Woman fan since the age of 6, and the reason why I feel like I need to watch Wynona Earp as well, is I love the depiction of strong women, but in the Supergirl parlance, unlike Wynona Earp or Jessica Jones or the woman on the screen, I feel like they were hiding her confidence as a woman. It's like she's working up to it, but I still don't feel like she's there. Whereas I don't get the sense that's an issue with Wynona Earp, right?
Well, it's interesting in that she is in the Wynona Earp case, she is a very flawed, quote-unquote, hero. She didn't ask for this situation. She's got quite a bit of skeletons in her closet from the past and some issues. So she's very real. Is she confident at some points? Absolutely. She'll kick your butt. And other times, she's very flawed and fragile, because that's what I love about the show. And it's not just her sister, the couple of other male characters that are in the story are the same way. On any given episode, you want to be right there with them, shoulder to shoulder. And other times you want to step back because you're afraid they're going to screw things up. So you get the sense they're very real. And that's one of the things that I've loved about Wynona Earp, unlike some other shows, is that you don't feel like things are being forced, whether it's relationships or storylines. It's naturally unfolding. So I think that's one of the things folks love about this show, is any of the relationships they see, romantic or otherwise, they feel very real. This set of writers really gets what they've got and is able to use that with the people who are able to display it too.
Hey, do the writers interact with you guys and ask you about your take on their storylines?
Certainly not when they're creating it, maybe after the fact, to get our opinion on what's already been placed on screen. I mean, but it's like that's such a delicate balance, as you know, in the TV world with such easy access to fans now. You've got to be very cautious how much of that you let impact what you've already, as a writer, planned for your story.
Hey, so what are you looking forward to seeing at Comic-Con San Diego, other than, of course, the Wynona Earp focus? I mean, are you got any parties, or are you going to low-key it, or how are you going to handle it?
Well, obviously, my main priority, again, because of how great IDW is to us, is going to be to cover the Wynona Earp events, signings, and panels first and foremost. There will then be other things on there, and as you know very well, Zenny, it'll kind of be a case of, okay, it's this time of the day, let me go see what's going on right now. So I'm not planning much other than the Wynona Earp stuff. I know there's a 20th anniversary Buffy event. Several of the shows and movies and stars are going to be there, but I'm kind of waiting to not plan too much, wait and see what kind of happens because of that. First priority will be the Earpers and the Wynona Earp cast.
And how much more time do I got? I know you have to be somewhere at 9, right? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got got a couple minutes.
Okay, cool. And the other question I have is, what is it that you want fans or people who've never heard of Wynona Earp before and they should see it? Why should they see it? Oh, and before I answer that question, where is the panel and what time? The obvious question for those who will be at Comic-Con. Yeah.
The cast panel is on Saturday afternoon at 2:30. I believe it is room 5AB, which is not a huge one. I think it's a 500 or so size. So keep that in mind if you're someone who's interested. As you know how Comic-Con works, plan accordingly. I have no idea what other big things, popularity-wise, are in that room as to how early you might need to get there. But it's Saturday afternoon at 2:30.
I would recommend getting there an hour early and just sitting down,
Yeah.
because the line's going to develop, and then in that way you want to be situated. That's a busy day because you've got Warner Brothers is going to be at Hall H that morning. You've got you've got Supergirl, I think, at 3:30, just behind yours, somewhere in there. You're seriously 3:30, not in Ballroom 20. So that's a busy day. And my plan is to be, that's the day I plan to fly in that morning. So so that'd be the.
You are doing one heck of a concentrated con, aren't you?
Yeah, I am going to do a concentrated con this year because of as my viewers know, my viewers have been great. They've invested in me to this year, and they like Barry and Citron and everybody have been fantastic. And so it's a little loyal fan base that keeps me in line, and and kicks in when they can. So yeah, I gotta give them something. I gotta pay back.
Same way with our fans. They want that. It's funny, the folks who have been unable to go to conventions, either for cost or location or whatever, have gotten the nickname on Twitter for those Wynona Earp fans as Comic Cants, because they can't make it to the convention.
Wow.
So yeah, our job is to bring as much coverage, photos, periscopes, podcasts as we can. So yes, you will see a lot of the hashtag Comic Cant. So yes, much like you, we always make sure that we're going to get whatever coverage we can for them.
And tell them how to find you on Twitter, and then also online with your website and everything, so the Comic Cants can follow you.
Yep.
Like Barry Lee.
The podcast Twitter account is Wynona Earp Pod. You can find links to a lot of the different fandom things at WynonaEarpFans.com. We'll get links to the podcast and the video hangouts and contests. Everything, that's kind of a central hub, makes it easy to get everything from there. The podcast itself, if you're searching in your podcasting app, is called Tales of the Black Badge.
That's a cool name. That's a cool name. Tales of the Black Badge. I like that.
Tales of the Black Badge. Yeah, that one worked out well, which, pull it up on the podcasting app. Again, we've been so wonderful. I think we've just posted, our 13th interview with the cast so far on the podcast feed. So that's because they're just wonderful and willing to give us some time and so forth. So, and we've got several more planned for the rest of the season, too. So we try to make sure we keep the fandom very engaged that way.
Well, hey, I don't want to make you late for your next appointment. Say hi to Bonnie for me and everybody, and
I will.
And hopefully I'll run into you there, and I'll keep you posted as well. But in the meantime, we will keep an eye on, actually more than one eye on, the Tales of the Black Badge.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Great to see you again.
Yeah, you too. You got it. All right, man.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
All right, see ya. Okay, see ya. Okay, see ya. So, folks, that is that's Kevin Bachelder of Tales of the Black Badge. Big one, like I said, as you can hear, a true Wynona Earp expert and a great person as well. And so yeah, so I'm gonna come back later tonight. We could talk Raiders and all that. Yeah, I'll not 11 p.m. Central. That's right, Barry. A little later. I need a break. But thank you all so much. And remember, follow Zenny62. And please, I don't care. I know some people joked about $2 or whatever. I don't care if it's $1, $2. It's better. It's better than anything I had before. Okay, so And thank you all so much, but I'll see you later tonight. Okay, see ya. Thank you. Okay, see ya. Thank you, Citron. Hey, great questions, by the way, you all. And thank you for the tweets and the great questions. Thank you. See ya.